Press play.
Replay, replay, replay.
You're watching Play Replay with Async. Now today I wanted to talk about something that I kind of know a lot about because I'm a fan, and it's kind of a big thing for me because I've grown up with it, and that is Transformers. Now I've talked about the Transformers in the past, and it's always been a passion of mine considering that I collect the actual figures or Transformers toys to this day. I collect the newer versions that are more posable now, of course, but if I was going to talk about Transformers, I always want to talk about how the movies have just completely failed for the most part. And it's not because of I hate just the Bay stuff and it's, oh my God, I'm not going to complain about the Bay movies versus the Bumblebee movie kind of reboot, not so much. And like the Rise of the Beast movie, which had some good elements and a couple of bad ones that drove me nuts watching in the movie. But I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Transformers 1, which is coming out soon. And it's basically Transformers back before they came to Earth on Cybertron. Now, if anybody actually pays attention, they know that this is coming out. They probably know all the stuff around it. But I'm talking to some people that might not know, just whoever. Anyway, I just think that this movie is I've kind of held off on talking about it because I wanted to know more about it before I kind of talked about it. And I still don't know everything because I haven't seen it, just like most people. But in the future, I'm sure I will see it. So we'll see how that goes, because I have a feeling, knowing the actual stuff about what happened between Megatron and Optimus Prime and all that, and Cybertron, and it's kind of nice that they do reinvent these things a little bit, but it also kind of drives me nuts when they change so much that you're just like, what is going on? Or they make it goofy like a Pixar film of some kind, which is what they're doing here. So I'm just kind of thinking that I think if they're going to start a new franchise with Transformers, I think they should have just gone with The War for Cybertron. The video games for The War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, those games, we really need to get those back on the newer consoles so we can play those on there. Because I got a Xbox One or Xbox Series X, and I thought, they have a list of all these, they say everything, they have this big list of backwards compatible games, and guess what? The War for Cybertron? Not so much. I put in my Xbox 360, War for Cybertron, and Fall of Cybertron into it, and it wouldn't play that. So I'm just like, wow, that's really depressing, considering you're backwards compatible on some games. Now I understand they're backwards compatible on Gears of War and Halo, because of course, But I mean, I'm sure there's lots of games, but this is not about that. My point is, those games were not perfect, but they had a lot of great elements to actually get you on board with how the Transformers were before they came to Earth. And I'm not one of those people that's like totally anti humans showing up in a Transformers story. If we remember correctly, and we go back in time to the 80s when Transformers came to Earth, there was two humans in pretty much every episode of the show, and it was fine. It didn't take up the show with all humans. It was very organic how they fit in. Now, I know in the movies they tend to do like 75% humans and then 25% robots, it seems like. And sometimes it varies a little bit more with more robots than humans a little bit, but it always tends to be a lot more human. And I kind of hate the fact that they overdo it. They can't balance that properly, it seems like. So a War for Cybertron film, I think, is what they should have done. Instead of doing Transformers 1. I really don't understand why they call it Transformers 1. They should have not called it that. That's like saying Xbox One when it's actually not the first Xbox. It's like, what are you doing? The people who don't know what you're doing here are going to, maybe they'll think, hey, this is before they came to Earth. But now if they make a franchise out of this, what's the next one going to be? Transformers 2 and Transformers 3? I mean, come on. Do you have to be so simple with the names? But I think that they should have gone with a War for Cybertron element and had more grittiness and a little bit better special effects, or I should film it to be more realistic looking, and just keep, obviously there's no humans in it, so let's make the characters the Transformers like we should have done in 2007 even. I mean, back then that was a fairly decent movie because we didn't have any other Transformer movies before that, so we were like, wow, this is amazing. But then as time progressed, we just kind of like, well, now that I see this Bumblebee movie and we see this scene at the beginning of the movie and a couple of flashbacks to that time period, we kind of just like, well, why couldn't they do that? That always drove me nuts, that in the Bumblebee movie, they actually managed to get the Cybertron battle sequence and all the Cybertron stuff right. So you're telling me you can't do that now? It's so dumb. So now they're going to do this Transformers 1 show, or movie I should say, and it's like you're giving us comedy, you're giving us the Rolling Stones music in the beginning, which is very strange. You could tell like some older guy picked the music for this or something, because it's not really fitting. I just think it's goofy that they put that in there. But I understand everybody wants to be Guardians of the Galaxy, so we got this. Hey, remember this song in this scene, and remember this song. I mean, I hope they don't do that, because I think that's really bad. I like it when there's instrumental music, like a orchestra playing or something, because it makes the movie timeless, like Star Wars. If they would have put Rolling Stones in the Star Wars movie franchise back in the day, those movies would be outdated feeling now. But since they didn't do that, and they did this great music, it's remembered. It kind of adds to the classicalness of the original Star Wars. So doing that with a Transformers movie, I think that would be a wise investment. Even though it seems like people don't know how to tell these stories properly, but whatever. So I think that a War for Cybertron story would be very well done if they did it like more realistic and more grittier feeling. But obviously they're not going to do what I want. This is just my opinion. I mean, you can have a different opinion. It's perfectly fine. Everyone has an opinion. It's okay. It's cool. But I'm just kind of giving my thoughts on this, because I've thought about this quite a bit, and I just never really mentioned it on here, I guess. Because Transformers is a passion for me. That's something I've always loved growing up until now. And it's always been something that's close to my heart as a franchise. And it just seems like they've kind of just fumbled it so many times that it's like, another Transformers movie's coming out. Okay, I'm sure some of it'll be cool and some of it'll be Optimus Prime murdering people. But whatever. So I think that if they did a War for Cybertron story, I keep saying that, it should be more like, I like the idea that they're doing Megatron and Optimus Prime and how they were kind of like close, and I like that. That's doing fine. That's still good. And then, I mean, when they do meet Bumblebee, he doesn't even seem like Bumblebee. I don't know if they're trying to line this up with the actual the live action type of movies, because they always seem to want to do that. Their producer that has a big mouth, he always tries to say that for some reason, even if the director's trying to get away from that. But I do know that the way that they did Bumblebee in this, I just think that it seems kind of goofy. Like he's just not, I don't know. It just doesn't match up with my idea of what Bumblebee should be like. Anyway, but I think it's kind of cool that they're doing it. And I like the fact that they got Alita 1 in it. And I'm just kind of curious about the voices, because having Thor for a voice, basically, is kind of like, ooh, it makes me nervous, because Peter Cullen did such a good job trying to meet that level of quality as to me, that's rough, you know. And I mean, Megatron, there's been multiple Megatron voices throughout time, so I can kind of deal with Megatron having a different tone in his voice. But the Optimus Prime is always very, you need to get Optimus Prime right, because he's like Superman. If you don't do Superman right, people are going to be like, wait, what are you doing here, you know? So it's nice that he's got the red and the blue, though, and the gray, the right colors, unlike some of the Bay movies where he's just got flames and more blue than red in some spots. And it's like, what are you doing? But I realize some fans will get mad at me for saying that, my opinion on that. But anyway, I just think that hopefully they're going to stick to where Megatron and Optimus Prime kind of butt heads and kind of have to do something, you know, kind of to turn against each other in this movie. I'm sure they will, because I did see a clip of Optimus Prime being Optimus Prime, not Orion Pax, which he was in the beginning before he became Prime. And then Megatron does have a Decepticon symbol, and it seems like they're going to have that, you know, as that'll probably be the end battle in the end sequence. And I did see Starscream, Soundwave, and I think Shockwave I did see in there too. So that's also a plus for me. And they were recognizable. But I just think it's cool that they, like I said, it's cool that they have Alita 1 in this. Because I've always liked Alita 1, and she never really got a lot of play. But nowadays, because of they want to put a woman up front and everything, I kind of get worried when I see Alita 1, because now it makes me wonder, are they going to just kind of have her bossing Optimus Prime around and kind of telling him that he's wrong, and he's got to cower to her like some kind of a little weakling or something? Because they do that in a lot of movies nowadays, so who knows? But I don't want to talk forever about this, especially now that my dog is sleeping and starting to snore again. I just wanted to kind of give my thoughts, and I just wanted to say that I wish that they would do, like the video games, The War for Cybertron and The Fall of Cybertron, something like that. If you know of those games, if you've ever played them, I know you can't just play them very easily now, but if you played them on the Xbox 360 and all that stuff back in the day, I think they were on PlayStation 2 as well. Not PlayStation 2, but on PlayStation as well. But I just think that would be the better route to go for the Transformers 1 movie, which I still think that name is kind of bad. I think they should have gone with Transformers The War for Cybertron, or Transformers Begins, or something like that. I guess 1 is kind of like saying begins, but it's, you know, I think it's just a little weird to call it that. But anyway, tell me what your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.